Carsten Jung, I mean, as an economist, let's be blunt about this. Isn't the best way of getting these mighty multinationals to convert to being carbon friendly is telling them, actually, you can make some money out of this as well?
Absolutely. Climate change is a huge business opportunity for firms that adapt to the new world and invest in future-proof products. And some firms already have made a fortune out of that. Recent headlines were Tesla, reaching a record valuation because they saw that electromobility is the future, or is part of the future. So that's an example of how you can make money. So it's absolutely right that firms need to make plans how they get their emissions to net zero by the middle of the century. But I would also say the rest of the economy needs to do this as well. We need to move to electric cars. We need to insulate our homes. And the companies need to provide the products that we need.
That's a very interesting point.
There is, of course, the risk that companies just engage in greenwashing and it's all just glossy marketing. And that's why we also need regulation, and we need the government to make sure that firms actually adjust their ways and invest in the right types of technologies. And sometimes that's penalizing polluting behavior, but often it means subsidizing clean behavior. So the government, for instance, has put out a £5,000 voucher for everyone who insulates their home. And that's a great start. That's a great way of making people make their houses more energy efficient. And that needs to be rolled out into other areas like transportation and also helping businesses to make their processes more clean. So it's both businesses and the market needing to push in the one direction, but also the government coming with a stick and ensuring they actually do it.
And some carrot as well. I don't know if you've seen my next question there, Carsten. You seem to have anticipated it. When it comes to subsidies, and I mentioned there things like electric vehicles. Well, okay, it's a subsidy. I think it was about £3,500. It's been cut. They're still awfully expensive. So all you do is allow already rich people to buy them a bit more cheaply. It applies also to hydrogen boilers. They're about 12 grand or something like that. So you cut a couple of thousand off it. It makes no difference to people who can't afford that kind of money, does it?
I wouldn't agree with that, actually. The issue of clean energy in houses affects the majority of people in the country. In fact, 2/3 of homes in the UK don't fit the standard that the government itself has said they should achieve. So 2/3 of houses are not very efficient. And that's really bad for climate change. Also, 2.5 million people live in fuel poverty because they cannot afford to heat their homes, given the prices and given how poorly insulated they are. So this is really an issue that touches across demographics in the country. And investing in insulating homes, it will have tangible benefits for people and their pockets because they will save money on energy bills.
Okay, right. Division of opinion there. Let's move on. Carsten, I mean, do you think it's a red herring as well? Then it's not about the individual. It's about the country the individual lives in and the amount of carbon they emit and get through.
I absolutely agree with Chaitanya that a lot of people contribute actually very little to climate change. But I'd also say that with the population we have across the globe, we can solve the climate challenge. We have the technology that we need to live good lives and still prevent climate change. We can insulate our homes and use heating that's renewable. We can use more public transport that gets us to where we want to go in a sustainable fashion. We can restore nature, which will actually help suck carbon out of the atmosphere. And we can make our industry more low emission and use new technologies. Most of these technologies do exist out there. And with some entrepreneurialism, with incentives and investment by the government, and with some individual behavior changes, we can do this. So I think the positive message is we don't need to give up things in order to solve this crisis.